This video is about the musket and how it was utilized in the 17th and 18th centuries by mounted infantry. Mounted infantry was riders from horseback that sported firearms. The riders would reach their destination in battle, then dismount before firing on the enemy. These riders were called dragoons. So I got the opportunity to spend a day with the Marine Corps Historical Company. I spent a day with them, and I was able to drill with them in a line. And I got to fire a couple different kinds of musket with the Marines. So I was wearing a blue hunting frock, white canvas breeches, and a cocked hat, which is what the Marine militia would have been wearing in 1777.
Cock your firelock! We will fire by file! Preset! Fire!
Cartridge box, okay. So this is a cartridge box. After you half-cock your musket, you come here to the cartridge box, reach in, all under orders. These are my cartridges. What's in them is black powder. Normally, this is where the musket ball would be here on the bottom, and it would have the black powder right on top. Now that's all designed to go into the barrel. There's a couple things I have to do first. All right. So, waiting for my officer's orders, I would tear this off with my teeth, pour a tiny bit of the black powder into the pan, keeping the rest of it in here. Close that, then reach over here and pour the rest of the black powder down into the barrel. Now I also stuff the paper in too. So in goes the paper, in goes the black powder, and what would be a bullet in there as well. This would be live ammunition then. And then we would take our ramrod, again, all under orders. When we're given the order, we take out the ramrod all the way. Push it in, that pushes out. And you come to ready, because now your gun is ready to fire. All right. So after you're given the orders, you hear, present, fire. And then you come down like that.
And hut! Shoulder your firelock! Right about. Face! Right a word! Prime and load! Open pan! Handle cartridge! Prime! Shut pan! Charge your firelock! Draw rammer! Ram down cartridge! Turn rammers! Shoulder your firelock! Hoist your firelock! Cut your firelock! Reset! Fire! Reload! Shoulder your firelock. Poise your firelock. Cock your firelock. We will fire by file. Preset. Fire. Preset. Fire.
In 1777, the Continental Army under General George Washington encamped at Valley Forge in Pennsylvania. Disheartened by the harsh conditions of the season and with rations and morale running low, the Army was in desperate need of some encouragement and structure. The men of the Continental Army were not as trained and disciplined to the same caliber as British regulars. To rectify this handicap, United States diplomat to France, Ben Franklin, persuaded Prussian captain Baron Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben to meet General Washington in Valley Forge. Starting from scratch, the Baron taught the Continentals basic arms drills and formation movements. Through the winter and spring of 1778, upon doing so, he transformed the American Army into a disciplined fighting force. This is the musket bayonet. By 1779, the Continental soldier was using a French-style musket known as a Charleville, or Charleville if you are French. It's based off of a 1760s model that the French were using in the Seven Years' War. It has a 69 caliber. What that basically means is compared to the British bullets and their brown bess, which is 75 caliber, our bullets were much smaller. But regardless, this was an effective weapon in battle. Now a little bit on the mechanics of the flintlock itself. First of all, this is called the hammer. This hammer here, this holds a flint, and the flint is supposed to be very sharp so that it hits this pit right here. This little piece, this is steel. It is called the frizzen. It is a steel plate, as you can see. The flint is going to be propelled, hitting the steel plate, creating a spark. This was a standard issued musket for Continental soldiers across the United States. If they weren't using rifles, they were using smoothbore muskets, just like this one. I mentioned 17th century dragoons. Well, in the following century, the 1700s, dragoons evolved to sport smaller and lighter firearms so as to be more effective mounted infantry from horseback. The Continental Army, particularly the infantry, would have been using a regular musket like this, or brown bess. The problem is, from horseback, this was much too long and it made it really cumbersome to try to use from horseback. So if you were a horse rider, if you were in the Continental Cavalry, or if you were any kind of rider for the Army, you would not be using one of these. So these muskets weigh about 10 pounds, be it the Charleville or the brown bess, and that also, while that's not a whole lot of weight, made it a little difficult to use from horseback because you're having to juggle the reins, maybe other weapons like a saber. So when they gave the cavalry muskets to use, they used something that was about 10 inches shorter. So this is what I imagine my longtime hero Deborah Sampson would have been doing as well. As a member of the 4th Massachusetts Regiment, which was a light infantry troop, if she or other horsemen were ever riding, they would have been sporting a musket that was more akin to this size. This is about 10 inches less than your regular Charleville, and it is less cumbersome. It doesn't weigh as much. So any typical cavalryman of the Continental Army would have been sporting a musket much more like this. So Deborah Sampson joined an elite unit out of Massachusetts. One thing that's interesting about her, during her action, she was actually shot with a musket ball. Tough person that she was, and her bunkmates probably knew, but her immediate officers might not have. She disguised herself so well. So she couldn't just go see the doctor and get herself healed. What she did was later that night, after getting shot and keeping it hidden, she removed the musket ball herself. Now, a musket ball, when it comes out, is extremely heavy and it is hot lead, which means it's not only warmed up when it's come out and been fired out of the barrel, when it hits a skeleton, it might actually mold itself across the skeleton because of the heat and the force that it's hitting her with. So that might have been what happened with the second bullet. She was not able to remove it, and she lived with that injury for the rest of her life. She actually used this later to petition Congress for disability claims. That claim was denied, but she was later paid her full soldier's pension, having been invited to do so by George Washington. This is the story that goes on, and it is recorded itself at Mount Vernon.
We will fire by file. Present. Fire.